A door beneath the ivy. The night had been long, yet Emma didn't feel tired, not in the way she used to. She felt alive, wide awake, as if the moonlight had poured silver fire into her veins. She lay in bed, but her thoughts wandered like restless moths, circling that gate cloaked in ivy. The whisper still coiled in her ears. "We'll be here, waiting." Emma turned on her side. The curtain stirred, and through the glass, the moon glowed like a watchful eye. She couldn't stop wondering what breathed behind those bars. Why did the air on the other side feel deeper, sweeter, like the hush of dreams too big for daylight? She pressed her cheek against her pillow and whispered into the dark, "What are you?" The silence didn't answer, but the night did. A soft breeze drifted through the open window, carrying with it the perfume of roses and something else, something sharper, like the scent of rain before it falls. Emma sat up slowly, her heart like a bird beating its wings against her ribs. She slid from her bed, her small feet kissing the rug, and crossed to the window. The garden lay like a sleeping ocean, the ivy wall a dark horizon line, and then she heard it. Not a whisper this time, a breath, soft, deep, drawn from beyond that hidden world. Emma's lips parted. For a moment, she thought the night itself had exhaled, but deep down, she knew. The gate was breathing. Emma couldn't stop herself. Even before her mind caught up, her feet were moving, gliding across the floor, past the hush of the hallway, through the house that felt like it had fallen under a sleeping spell. The door to the garden opened with a whisper of hinges. The night folded around her like velvet, cool and fragrant. The moonlight stretched in ribbons across the grass, leading her back to the ivy wall as though the moon itself wanted her to go. And then she saw it. The gate didn't just breathe now. It glimmered, soft as a secret, silver as spilled starlight. The iron shimmered faintly where the moonlight touched it, and at the very center of the bars, nestled like a hidden heart, something shone. Emma stepped closer. Her breath trembled. There, hanging from a twist of ivy, was a key, small, elegant, forged of silver that looked like frozen moonlight. Emma reached out, fingers quivering as though touching magic for the first time. The key was cool in her palm, heavy in the way things are when they hold more than metal, when they hold meaning. She curled her fingers around it and pressed it to her chest. Something in the darkness stirred, a whisper not in her ears this time, but in her bones. "You were meant to find us." The ivy shifted. Emma froze for a heartbeat. She thought it was the wind until she saw it. Shadows, slender, curling, slipping through the vines like ink poured into water. They weren't frightening, not exactly, but they moved with purpose, winding around the bars, drawing delicate patterns in the moonlight. Emma stepped back, clutching the key tighter. Her breath puffed in clouds that vanished as soon as they appeared. The shadows seemed to notice. They paused, then coiled upward, their tips curling like fingers beckoning her closer. Emma swallowed hard. The fear prickled her skin. But beneath it, something else bloomed: curiosity, fierce and bright. She lifted the key slowly. The shadows shimmered, their edges glowing faintly like embers breathing in the dark. And then one of them reached out, not to grab, but to guide. It slid across the bars and traced the shape of the keyhole, slow as honey dripping from a spoon. Emma understood. Her heart thudded, wild and sweet. "They want me to open it," she whispered. The night didn't answer, but the shadow stilled, waiting. Emma stared at the keyhole. The shadows curled back like courteous dancers, leaving the path clear. The gate seemed to lean toward her, its iron bars humming softly, like strings waiting for a song. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the key. The silver glowed faintly in the moonlight, pulsing like a heartbeat. It slid into the lock with a sigh, soft, sweet, like a secret finally spoken. Emma twisted the key. The gate shuddered, vines quivering as though breathing. A sound rose low, deep, like a note plucked from the roots of the earth. The hinges groaned, not in anger, but in relief, as the door began to open, slowly, like a yawn after a century of silence. A cool breath of air spilled out, carrying scents Emma had never known. Wild honey, crushed petals, rain on old stone, and something richer like starlight made into perfume. She stepped closer. Her bare foot touched the threshold, and her skin tingled as though crossing from dream into dream. The world beyond glimmered faintly, not like daylight, but like darkness threaded with light. Alive, awake, waiting. Emma drew a deep breath, clutched the key to her chest, and whispered, "I'm coming in," and then she stepped through. The first thing Emma noticed was the light. It wasn't like the moonlight outside. It shimmered like liquid silver, flowing through the air, turning mist into lace. Shadows danced with color, soft blues, tender greens, threads of gold that seemed to hum as they drifted past. And the sounds, not loud, not sharp, but soft as breath, leaves murmuring, petals sighing, distant water laughing gently like a secret brook. It was as if the garden itself was alive, not just living, but awake. Emma's eyes widened, drinking in wonders. Trees arched like cathedral spires, their leaves glowing faintly as if lit from within. Flowers sprawled in wild beds, their colors richer than any dream. Blues that tasted like berries, reds like the warmth of a summer dawn. She took a step and the grass sang, not in words, but in whispers, each blade releasing a note when her foot touched it, weaving tiny songs under her toes. "It's alive," Emma breathed. Her voice felt like an intruder here, yet the garden seemed to lean closer, listening or welcoming. A hush curled through the air, like the sound of distant words but softer, sweeter, as if language had dissolved into music. "The garden of whispers," Emma whispered, and somehow she knew she was right. Emma wandered deeper, her senses drinking in every breath of this otherworldly night. And then she heard it, a note, pure, high, delicate as crystal. Then another, and another. She turned her head. A bed of blossoms stirred not by wind, but by sound. Their petals quivered, opening wider as though to release the music within. Each bloom sang a tone, a color in sound, weaving together into a harmony so soft it seemed stitched from moonlight. Emma knelt beside them, her heart beating in time with the melody. She reached out, and as her fingertip brushed a petal, the note brightened, like a bell kissed by sun. "You can sing," she whispered in awe. The flowers replied not in words, but in a shimmering cord that wrapped around her like a silken shawl. Emma closed her eyes. For a moment, she wasn't Emma. She was part of the song, a thread in a tapestry of light and sound, spun by roots and leaves and starlight. The music of the flowers faded into a hush, and something else drew Emma deeper into the garden. A sound, not notes this time, but liquid, flowing, whispering against stone. She followed it through arches of twisting roots and beds of glowing blossoms until the trees opened to a clearing bathed in silver light. And there it was, the pool, small, round, cradled by stones as smooth as polished moonstone. Its surface lay still, so still, it looked like a mirror poured from glass. But when Emma leaned closer, her breath caught. It wasn't reflecting the garden. It was reflecting the sky. Not the sky above her, but another sky deeper, darker, jeweled with stars brighter than any she had ever seen. They shimmered in endless constellations, swirling slowly as if the night itself had fallen asleep inside this hidden bowl of water. Emma knelt, her fingers trembling above the surface. She touched it and light rippled outward in rings of silver. Fire, each wave releasing a faint chime like the laughter of stars. She whispered, "A pall of stars," and the words sank like petals into the glowing water. Emma sat by the pool, her fingers trailing in starlight. For a long moment, she simply breathed, her heart swelling with something too big for words. Wonder, joy, the feeling of belonging to a secret that had been waiting for her all along. Then, a movement caught her eye. A flower floated on the water white as snow, its petals trembling with a glow so soft it looked spun from moon threads. Slowly, it drifted toward her, circling like a tiny boat on silver tides. Emma cupped her hands and lifted it. It weighed almost nothing, yet her palms tingled as if holding a living promise. The petals shivered and then, one by one, they fell. But they didn't sink. They hovered, glowing faintly, and began to spin, forming letters in the air. Emma's breath caught. The letters shimmered into words delicate as spider silk. "Tomorrow, we bloom." Emma clutched the message to her heart, though it vanished like mist, leaving only warmth behind. "Tomorrow," she whispered, smiling. And deep inside, she knew the garden had given her a promise, a secret that would unfold, petal by petal, when the sun hissed this hidden world awake. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more bedtime tales.